I would like to take you through 3 points before we start the main lessons, as I believe they will help you better understand Japanese grammar. 1. Connecting words. You can connect words to make sentences in Japanese just like in English, but you can't directly connect all words such as I, study, and Japanese. Instead, you need to put small words between each of them. The small words are called particles, and they are the most important part of Japanese grammar. 2. The end of the sentence. There is another big difference between English and Japanese. Normally, Japanese sentences end with verbs, no matter if it's long or short. To make negative sentences or questions, you need to change the verbs to a negative or question form. In other words, the end of the sentence will inform you whether the sentence is positive, negative, or question. That's why you need to be a good listener. 3. Formality level and the length of sentence. We mainly teach standard level and casual level verbs. Generally, the shorter a sentence is, the more casual it sounds. Speaking tips. I would also like to introduce you to some speaking tips before we proceed to the main lessons. As you might know, Japanese has 46 hiragana characters. It is relatively easy for English speakers to pronounce them. However, when it comes to speaking natural Japanese, like a native, it's a different story. Japanese is what is called a molar-timed language. This means that every character in Japanese occupies the same length of time. For example, konnichiwa. English, on the other hand, is a stress-timed language. This means that some syllables are pronounced longer while some will be shorter. For example, important. So now, I would like to share some simple speaking tips by comparing a beginner, a native Japanese speaker, and a robot. Let's see a simple greeting as an example. Ohayou gozaimasu, which means good morning. Many English speakers, when speaking Japanese, will vary their length of syllables, stress certain syllables, and emphasize pitch. For example, they might say, Ohayou gozaimasu. Native Japanese speakers, on the other hand, will pronounce syllables at roughly the same length and evenly stressed. We also emphasize pitch, which can sometimes identify the meaning of a word. For example, they should say, Ohayou gozaimasu. Here are a couple of extra tips. First, double vowels, such as O. Actually, we don't literally pronounce O in the conversation. Instead, we pronounce O. For example, we don't say Ohayou gozaimasu. Instead, we say Ohayou gozaimasu. Second, the end of the sentence, su. We don't clearly speak su at the end of the sentence. For example, we don't say Ohayou gozaimasu. Instead, we say Ohayou gozaimasu. Last, all sounds in Japanese are pronounced like a mixture between R and L. For example, listen to the R in arigato. Your tongue will briefly touch your upper gum ridge. And finally, a robot might have no rhythm and no high or low pitch accents. For example, it might say, "Ohayo gozaimasu." To summarize, my suggestion is that you should pronounce the individual sounds of words evenly stressed and without rhythm. On the other hand, you should put high or low pitch accents on words, otherwise you will sound like a robot. Second, you can pronounce double vowels, O like O. Lastly, you should pronounce the U at the end of the sentence very quietly, which will make your Japanese sounds more natural. Are you ready to start lesson 1 with me?